Sorry about that, guys. The camera cut out, so I guess I'm going to finish up my little rant, so to speak, on the decline of the Metroid series by saying I love the series. It's still probably my favorite series in video game history, but I don't know if Yoshio Sakamoto has what it takes to save the series and bring back anything remotely close to what the older titles have to offer. Because of a number of decisions that were made in the game's development. And the game in question, is Metroid Other M. First and foremost, I don't blame Team Ninja for the disaster that was Metroid Other M. I don't blame them in the slightest. They did what they could with it. Their problem was the gameplay. And the gameplay, it doesn't feel Metroid, but that's the least of the problems. Is it fun to a degree? Yeah. The gameplay is fine. The problem is, and I'm going to be going into a large checklist, most of which I've already talked about on Facebook, on my Facebook page, but the problem with the game is a lot of what Team Ninja had absolutely no control over. So, I'm going to talk about this again. They fucked up Ridley by giving him an insulting evolutionary line, which, to my knowledge, again, I haven't read the manga, but they decide to expand on Ridley's origins by confirming that the original Ridley is killed off in Super Metroid, along with everything else on Planet Zebes, which is fine. They can have that. It's kind of annoying that the Master of Death is dead now, but, that's a subplot from the manga. Oh, wait! Other M is filled with stuff from the manga. Well, what's the Master of Death mean? It means, well, if you've gathered anything from my little voice acting demo where I, play Ridley, basically Ridley devours biomatter, and, his favorite is corpses of the dead, and basically uses them to really, really freaking accelerate the healing of his wounds, basically meaning that even mortal wounds don't kill him, which is why he keeps coming back. This gave a pretty badass reason as to why Ridley kept coming back. It's kind of like, spoilers for the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim for the next minute, but it's quite similar. In fact, I would dare say that Alduin was inspired from Ridley, and I'm sure there's other mythological creatures that feed on dead bodies or dead souls or something like that in order to sort of like a parasite keep themselves alive so that they can terrorize some more. And that's badass. Why that was never really talked about, I don't know. They just briefly mention it, but they don't mention it by having, they have Ridley eating the stupid honey from the key hunters or whatever. It's not important. Well, whatever. So you fucked up Ridley. You fuck up Ridley again by having Samus go PTSD. I talked about this already. That's not much of an important thing. Again, having the manga be canon, the official, and there have been official mangas in the past. If any of you are familiar with the Zelda series, that had a manga. Does Ocarina of Time talk anywhere about how Zelda and Link met and played together when she was in disguise in the castle town before he actually found out she was Princess Zelda? No. Did you know that Volvagia was actually a baby dragon that was Link's pet before Ganondorf corrupted it and turned it into the monstrosity you see in the Fire Temple? No. Well, guess what? There are lots of things, and that's not necessarily as official as the Metroid manga is. But I mean, there are things from the manga that you could use, and they chose to use a lot of the good things, whatever. And then Sakamoto has the ego to say, well, that's not the Prime games, despite how well received they were, they're not how I see the series. Despite the fact that when Metroid first started, he was nothing more than a character designer for that game. He wasn't a director, he wasn't a writer, he wasn't the project manager, he wasn't Gunpei Yokoi. He had very little control over anything besides just designing the characters, designing the levels, and there were many others who shared that spot with him. I'm going to put this into wrestling terms, so this little joke is going to fly over your heads, unless you're a wrestling fan. He's basically the Vince Russo of the Metroid series. Gunpei Yokoi, I like to think, and I wasn't involved with the game's development, so I can't confirm or deny this, but I like to think that Gunpei Yokoi filtered out the stupid ideas of Sakamoto. And the fact of the matter is that storytelling didn't become a forefront in games, until the 2000s hit, or the 3D era hit. But anyways, another big problem, and it's a running gag throughout the process of just declaring why Metroid Other M sucks in so many aspects. And I've said it before, I'll say it again, Jessica Martin would have been perfectly capable as a good Samus voice. She has some decent moments, but what we get is Sakamoto thinking, how things work in Japan are how things should work in American localization, voice acting, and all that stuff. And he makes somebody who could be a very talented Samus. I don't know necessarily as talented as Jennifer Hale would have been, but I'm sure she would have made a great Samus throughout the game. He decided to direct her and have his hand in every ounce of the game, from the artwork and all that stuff, all the way down to the American dubbed voice acting. Now, I don't know all that much about Metal Gear Solid, but I don't think Hideo Kojima had much of a hand in casting David Hayter as the voice of Solid Snake. Could just be me. I don't know. I haven't done a whole lot of research on the subject, but for the love of God, what the hell? Jessica Martin, I'm sure, would have been a very talented Samus. End of story. Sakamoto said, to hell with that. And there's other voice. I've heard from a number of different people and sources that there are other voices in the game that were actually stock voices from incidental characters here and there that actually weren't supposed to be in the final game. They were just placeholders for the promotional material, like the demos and all that stuff leading up to the release of the game. And Sakamoto, being an absolute idiot who understands nothing about, American localization process, decided that the placeholder was perfect, or the placeholder voices were perfect, and whatever. So another big problem with Sakamoto. And the other main point about the cinematics of Other M that sucks so royally is the fact that all of this is comprised in cutscenes that take up over half the game's actual game time, in cutscenes that you can't skip until your second playthrough of the game. God forbid you actually be able to tolerate a second playthrough of this fucking game, where you can skip the mind-numbing crap and get to some of the stuff that actually slightly shines with the game. The boss battles, the battling, and the combat. But, yeah. I don't know if Team Ninja had much of a say in this aspect or not, or if this is just another one of Sakamoto's stupid decisions, but the very idea of Samus's concentration in Other M, the fact that she can concentrate her suit on and off at will, or the fact that her Chozo power suit is powered by her focus and her concentration. Well, a game that Sakamoto had basically full reign and control over, Zero Mission, which basically has, like I said, an entire story arc in Chizodia where Samus is without a power suit. And it's implied that because the ability to use it was instilled within her ship or something like that. When her ship was blown up, she was left with nothing but an emergency pistol. Okay, so she had to travel to the Chozo Shrine to get a new suit. Or by Other M's logic, I guess she had to be at the Chozo Shrine to meditate and get enough concentration to power the suit again, even though this suit has shoulder pads. Whatever. Again, there wasn't a lot of storytelling, or at least verbalized storytelling, in Zero Mission, so who the hell knows? But the concentration system goes another step towards the stupidity by, you can recover energy when you're low, you can recover ammo when you're out by concentrating. So this gets rid of all suspense in the game. This gets rid of all possible, interesting point in the boss where you're like, oh shit, what do I do now? I'm out of ammo, or I'm low on energy. What now? No, you can just concentrate it right back by just abusing the crap out of the sense move. All the while, it's just, there is no suspense in the combat. And combat is at basically the forefront of this game, besides the story, the mind-numbing story. Anyways, yes, this. Having Samus start with everything, but choosing not to use her abilities. Now, some stuff I could see. The power bombs, sure. Maybe they'd blow the shit out of the space station and take, the oxygen out of areas by just tearing a hole into space. Fine. So don't use power bombs. But you can't use the grappling beam. You can't use the Varia function or the gravity function unless your master Adam says so. Seriously? What the hell? But the biggest problems with Other M are the game's climax. They heavily lead up to a point in the space station that is supposedly, we don't know, but it supposedly is designed to be like Turian from Zebes. It's designed to be the control center guarded by Metroids, and supposedly these Metroids are unfreezable. Can we go there? Of course not! Adam does it for us in a stupid self-sacrificing manner. So, again, another area of the game that could have been expanded upon for some badass, gameplay, fighting Metroids without being able to freeze them and all that stuff. No, that's thrown to the wayside just for the sake of stupid drama that an 8th grader could write. Okay, fine. Surely the final boss fight couldn't be fucked up, could it? Wrong. The final boss fight, if you're not counting the Queen Metroid as the final boss fight, the final boss fight literally comprises of you fighting monsters trying to get a shot off on MB, who is, an android designed to be like Mother Brain. Whatever. Fine. So you shoot at MB. Well, guess what? You don't get to kill her. You get one shot off and the game's over. And then somebody else kills her. Yeah. Dick move, game. Dick move, Sakamoto. Fuck the game. Fuck you. There's just so much that I can talk about. So much that so many other people have talked about and will continue to talk about. Because what you have done is strip away the very foundations by which a Metroid game feels like a Metroid game. There is no sense of suspense because of, your concentration system. There is no sense of mystery because everything is told to you and you're told exactly where to go. There is no sense of freedom or exploration. There is nothing. And there sure as hell isn't any sense of what we had envisioned Samus to be. And I'm not saying that you can't have Samus show emotion. You can't have Samus do anything like that. But you're making her awfully freaking subservient to pretty much everything with a dick in this game. Even Ridley, who doesn't have a visible dick, but whatever. I apologize, guys. This went on far longer than I expected, but I had a hell of a lot to get off my chest about Metroid Other M. I just do not want to associate with that game. And I only find it inevitable that after I'm finished up with the good Metroid games, because I'm doing Zero Mission now, I'm going to be doing Corruption very, very shortly. Metroid 1 will probably never be done. Metroid 2, for the same reason, there's very little to talk about with a game that repetitive. But I've done Super Metroid. I'm doing Zero Mission. I've done most of the Prime trilogy. I'm doing the third. Eventually, it's going to get to a point where people ask me to do Other M, just for the simple fact that it drives me fucking insane, and I can rant about it all day long. And it's probably inevitable. But I'll do Fusion at some point. I guarantee it. But it's probably an inevitability that I Let's Play Other M at some point. I'm really going to procrastinate and hold off on it as much as possible, but I'm going to have to bring the hammer down at some point and tell everybody, and in the meantime, watch Retsupre's Rift commentary on it. They uploaded it about a week and a half ago now. Watch their complete, dismantling of that game from its cutscenes alone. Slow Beef and Diabetes do a good enough job of it. Datai is Let's Playing it. Look that up. But at the same time, there's still a hell of a lot that I need to say on it. And I don't think videos like this will do it justice, so whatever, guys. This has been a rant, an entirely too long rant on just the direction, the very, very shameful direction that Yoshio Sakamoto is taking the Metroid series with his awful-ass business decisions. I don't know what else to say. So I will see you guys next time. I'll probably upload some Mario 3 shortly. Expect another Zero Mission episode next week sometime, and Corruption will be following shortly thereafter. So I will see you guys next time. Have a good day, everybody.